Hey, happy Sunday. Welcome to Authbition, where authenticity meets ambition without compromise. It's Sunday. I'm trying to record these every Sunday. Almost missed today. It's nearly 8 o'clock here in Raleigh, North Carolina. If you've been watching along, the last few episodes have been on the road from our Airstream. And after about a 12-hour drive yesterday from the Finger Lakes region in New York back here to Raleigh, um, it was long. It was a long ride. And then this morning, got up and did a 50 plus mile bike ride with a good friend, and that took up a good part of the day. Haven't seen my son in a really long time. He came over for dinner today. I've got ants crawling on me, so um, dealing with some challenges here and wanting to get this episode recorded. So, for those of you that have been following along from the beginning, one of the things I did was change the branding just a little bit. This is authenticity and ambition, and I coined the word authbition. I've got a dictionary term for it that I'll put out maybe in my Substack. I'll put it out there so you can check it out for fun. Uh, but I figured why not go ahead and just rebrand the podcast Authbition. It's still a mouthful, but maybe less than a mouthful of authenticity and ambition. And I've said it enough times, so I'm going to stop saying it. Um, Also, if you've been listening along since the very beginning, I started recording these because my massage therapist said, "Hey, I'd really like to listen to these your essays while I'm doing chores and not read them." So that's why I started reading them so that you had an opportunity to listen to them or watch them. Uh, but I do have a message, and that message is to live your dreams without compromise. And the story that my massage therapist brought up in particular is the one that I'm going to read today, and it's how I met my wife. Last week was our 9 year anniversary, and I thought, what a better time to read an essay about how we met is from my perspective, not from her perspective, and it really is about how I stopped and took the time to find out who I was um, before finding true love. So I'm just going to get into it and start reading, and I hope you enjoy it. So here we go. It's called I Found True Love When I Stopped Looking for It, reflecting on 10 years with my lover and best friend. I wrote this around the time we had been together for 10 years. Um, and I'm reading it now. Last week was our 9 year anniversary. So just in case that's confusing. It starts off with a picture of us in front of a waterfall out. I want to say that we were in DuPont Forest in North Carolina when we took this photo. I'll put that in the speaker notes for everybody. Actually, I can go ahead and share it for those of you that are watching and not listening. I'll share my screen so you can see the photo. So here we are um, in front of a waterfall in DuPont Forest. All right. So here we go. As far back as I can remember, I ached for partnership. From my prepubescent dreams of growing up to be a husband and father to my middle school fantasies of, well, let's not talk about those fantasies. I just wanted a girlfriend so badly. Isn't that the stuff of life? It seemed like an eternity before I finally landed a steady in high school. I wanted my whole life. I waited my whole life for that moment, and it was great while it lasted. I was head over heels in love until I blew it. Falling in love and then blowing it. Each relationship taught me a lifelong lesson. That first lover's lesson, don't take your girlfriend for granted. That's a good way to get broken up with. Life seemed to have only two modes. Either I was desperately yearning for a new lover, or I was desperately navigating being with my partner. After that high school heartbreak, my second significant other was my accomplice in finding a new life. She was the safety and security of home in New Jersey when I picked up and relocated to North Carolina. I learned from her that a relationship should be more than a safe harbor. My mom said, I understand you want to marry this girl, Andrew, but I don't see that twinkle in your eyes. She was right. I was settling. I broke off that engagement with a style and flair that could be the makings of a Hollywood script. But there I was again, single and looking for love. I had this massive void I needed to fill, and I was looking for someone else to fill it. I was ripe for someone with an inflated ego. My twinkling eyes landed on her roommate, but then she saw how easy of a target I was. She sucked me in like a kid outside a candy store. We married, bought a house in the burbs with a white picket fence, and raised two children. That relationship went from fireworks to nonstop fighting, a slow decline in health, and wrapped in a bow of infidelity. 16 years had passed, and there I was, single, at 40, with two middle school children. Things were different this time. I didn't immediately start dating. It wasn't that I didn't want to. My libido felt the same as it had all those times before, ready to get back to the pursuit of partnership. But it felt disrespectful to the vow I had made in marriage. There was considerable time spent in counseling, alone, trying to save the marriage. There was nothing to save, but at least giving the whole thing time felt responsible and honorable. Something new began to happen during that stretch of being single and intentionally not searching for love. I started to discover myself. What did I like? What was my style? The divorce had turned disgusting, and I lost nearly everything. All those possessions I had was whatever I could stuff into my Dodge Durango. I go from sleeping in my office to staying at a friend's home before finally getting an apartment. It was a blank slate. There's no furniture, no art on the walls, nothing. What kind of plates do I like to eat from? What type of sofa will I get? Kind of bed frame? Somewhere on the search for apartment necessities, I found a vinyl record of the J. Giles Band, framed the tattered cover, and hung it on a wall. I bought a record player, amp, and speakers. I went to an antique store and bought more vinyl. I like records. Huh, who knew? The friend I'd stayed with bought me a vintage typewriter for my poetry. Instead of loading it with printer paper, I sought out cotton sheets that were rough around the edges. I liked old school, analog things. Interesting. I always rode bicycles, as far back as I could remember. Of all the things that survived my former life, one was my Trek 6500 mountain bike. But my apartment was in downtown Raleigh, just a few miles from where I worked at NC State. I wanted a bike better suited for commuting to work. A friend donated me his 1980s vintage Holdsworth. Its tires were flat and chain rusty from years of sitting idle in his garage. That was my first road bike. As a kid, I had BMX bikes and got into single track riding in college. This road cycling was old and new at the same time. As I decorated my apartment in leather and wood and filled the pantry with plain white diner style plates and coffee mugs, my desire to start dating picked back up. I had a place now. I had my grandma's original percolator, coffee pot, and iron skillets on the stove. I could entertain. I could cook. I soon realized that dating in the 2010s was not about entertaining. It was about swiping left and right. A friend took my phone and put Tinder on it. He was excited to see me opening up to the dating scene. There I was, 41, figuring out how to meet women on my phone. Apparently, Axe body spray would seal the deal when meeting in the wild. The short stint of online dating might be considered a success, but I was strangely unhappy. I had built myself a nice little place where I could write poetry, listen to music on vinyl, and go ride bikes. I had two children I'd get to see every other week. I had their love and companionship in my life. I didn't need to date. I deleted Tinder and got back to living my life. I could do what I wanted on my time. I'd go to local breweries, see live music, and visit friends whenever I liked. For the first time, I wasn't looking for love. I was focused on being the best version of myself. I got super fit. At 41, I was healthier than I'd been since high school. I started training for a Tough Mudder, a 13-mile run through the mud with military-style obstacles. To train, I swam in the pool at my apartment, lifted weights in the gym, ran, and did Insanity with Sean T. I don't know if you can hear it, but there's people riding mopeds around the neighborhood tonight. So if that's affecting the audio, my apologies. Uh, Being focused on myself felt good. I might not have been searching for love, but I didn't like being alone. I worked on this with my therapist. She encouraged me to embrace my desire for companionship without needing a partner. Sit at the bar when you go out alone, go to movies and share meals with a friend, get a dog. Living in downtown Raleigh was the best. It reminded me of growing up in Rutherford, where I could bike to everything. The Dodge Durango would sit idle in the garage as I navigated to work, bars, and the bike shop, where I had made a few friends from the novelty of working on my ancient mountain bike in the old Holdsworth. Have you ever been on a group ride? You should go. You'll like it. Crank Arm Brewing does one on Wednesday nights. This isn't quotes. So they told me that. On September 10th, 2014, I decided to go on my first ever group ride. The local bike-themed brewery hosted the crowd. It was a novel experience for me. As people were getting ready to roll, I snapped a photo to capture the moment. I'm gonna stop for a moment and show you the photo. So, share the screen, share, boom, and hopefully, whoops, that's not right. Uh, what happened? This is fun. This is don't try to do a demo. Here's my published stories. And uh this is the one that I'm reading right now. Wow. Okay. No outtake reels, folks. This is authentic me on a podcast. This is the photo that I was trying to find for you here. And it's a photo of Crank Arm Brewing outside. Um, and it was hours before I met who would later become my wife. It's just so cool to me that I took a picture before something awesome happened. It's kind of a unique experience and memory. Um, all right, so I'm gonna stop sharing. Sorry for the little distraction there. Um, we went on a 10-mile ride through the city streets of Raleigh and its surrounding greenway system. I heard for the first time people calling out, "Car back, runner up, pole down." It was new, refreshing, and fun. I managed to strike up conversations with other cyclists along the route. When we returned to Crank Arm Brewing, I contemplated calling it a night and heading home. I had a good time on the ride, and now that we were back, everyone grouped up into cliques. I found myself awkwardly alone in the crowd. But then I heard the therapist in my ear. Sit at the bar when you go out alone. Before long, the Wednesday night cycling group dissipated, and Crank Arm returned to its regular crowd, leaving me with plenty of time to make friends with the bartender. Dylan wasn't any guy behind the bar. He was a founder and exceptionally popular among the young ladies. Having learned my story, he seemed to take a personal interest in getting a woman to sit by my side. The more beers I drank, the more I welcomed the attention. Before I knew it, the previously empty bar stool to my right would be occupied by an attractive woman, probably half my age. I got lost in conversation for who knows how long when a call to nature tore me away. I headed for the restroom, leaving my half-full beer safely covered with my unattended phone. I was high in that bathroom, filled with brews and the blonde at the bar. I didn't have on Axe body spray. I wasn't dressed nice. I wore comfortable shorts, and my shirt was still damp with sweat from the 10-mile ride. I was myself in the raw. I looked in the mirror as I washed my hands. I probably smiled and winked at myself as if I was saying goodbye to my past and hello to the future. That blonde that I stranded there at the bar, she was part of my past. Everything froze when I exited the restroom to the bustling sounds of the brewery. Two more women had slid into the open bar stools to the left of my phone, over here. No doubt Dylan had encouraged them to sit there. One of the women was magnetic. Whatever twinkle my mom had referred to woke up in my eyes to the point where I couldn't see anything else. I was locked on. That blonde to the right, I forgot she was there. I slid into my narrow space with the phone on top of the beer, turned to the left, and struck up a conversation. It went something like this. Looks like you're into the soccer game right now. A woman's game was on, and I think they were focused on the TV to avoid making eye contact with me. Yep, we're here to watch soccer. Who's on? I don't know. We're just watching. Really? Okay, you're here to watch soccer but don't know who's playing? When's the last time you've been to a soccer match? It sort of went like that. Um, she said I was pretty rude that night, and maybe it was just what she needed for me to get through her defenses. This is my revised history of the night. She has her side of the story and all the twists and turns that landed her on that bar stool. Her rendition of the encounter is just as good. Who knows? It's probably better. As for me, I got her number. I cycled home that night on the silent city streets after 2 a.m. and encountered a traffic circle. You know the one. It's at Hillsborough Street and West Morgan. As I rode into the circle, I didn't go through it. I went around it. I rounded it over and over again, full of beer, full of hope, and filled with joy, like a child riding a bike in circles. When I stopped looking for love, she came out of nowhere and perched up at the bar to my left. We've been sitting at bars, riding bikes, and going to see music together for a decade. When I look at her, as I am right now, time stops, just like it did that night at Crank Arm Brewing. All right. That's the story. Um, I wrote it a while ago, like I said, 10 years after that night, after we met. And some time's gone by since I wrote it. Um, and it's been 9 years since we've been married now. So uh, it's been an incredible 9 years. This podcast, Authenticity and Ambition, um, Authbition, about finding that true you. I wasn't wearing Axe body spray. I was wearing a sweaty t-shirt and had been on a bike ride. I was just being me. Um, and I landed the biggest dream ever. And what's more authentic and ambitious than that, you know? So I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoy me reading my essays. I'm really hoping that one of these days I'll get a guest on here that can read their essay about an authentic and or ambitious topic that they would like to talk about. But for now, I'm just keeping this train going. And if you like what I'm doing here, what I'm trying to do here, please share it with your friends, subscribe, do all those things. It's really important to get more eyeballs on it and get more feedback. And please give me feedback if you think there's things I can be doing differently. let me know because right now I'm just kind of winging it. Health, happiness, kindness, respect to every being and all things. Namaste. I'll see you next Sunday.